What is going on, man? This is Patrick James here, and today I want to do a little bit of a different video. You guys, if you've been watching my videos for a long time, then you notice that I'm constantly making references to different books that I'm reading or different books that I've read or books that I recommend for whatever question you're asking me, because I tend to do a lot of question and answer type videos. So in today's video, rather than doing a Q&A, I just want to recommend 5 books that are guaranteed to make you more charismatic, because at the end of the day, that's our mission here, right? To be the most charismatic, confident, and courageous versions of ourselves. That's kind of the mantra for the Swagger Social Tribe, aka you, aka everybody else who watches my videos, reads my daily emails. All right, so these are 5 books that I would highly recommend anybody pick up and read, whether you've read them before or not. Read them again, okay? Because they're gonna make you more charismatic. And if you're not used to reading, these are definitely 5 books to get you propelled onto this track of constantly improving yourself and constantly developing your character, all right? So first book, obviously, is gonna be Influence by Robert Cialdini. Now, Robert Cialdini is a social psychologist at Arizona State University, and he does a lot of social experiments to figure out exactly what makes people tick, all right? What makes people say yes to certain things and no to other things? What makes them act in certain ways that they act? So he has 6 or 7 weapons of influence that he calls it, things like social proof, things like authority, things like likability, and he really dives deep into how marketers or salespeople or anybody trying to influence anybody can use these things in a practical way to get your way, to influence others to do what you want them to do. So Influence is a big book. It's probably the first book that you should ever read, because I will say right now that every piece of sales copy that I write, every sale that I've ever made, every person that I've coached, my effectiveness as a charisma consultant was 10 times better because I knew how to influence the way these people think. So that's the first one. And the second one, talking about 10 times, is the 10X rule by Grant Cardone. Now, Grant Cardone is a very charismatic and in-your-face type of salesperson, but he wrote a really good book called the 10X rule. And basically, the whole point of the book, the whole point of the 10X rule, is to assess where your goal is right now in any area of life, and then 10X that. Because he says, no matter what goals you have, if they're big, you're gonna fall short. But do you wanna fall short going for $100,000, or do you wanna fall short going for $1 million? It's very simple, all right? If you shoot for $1 million, it's like the age-old fucking mantra, shoot for the stars, land on the moon. But if your goal was to land on the moon in the first place, you're probably gonna fall short. Sorry, bro. But if you shoot for the stars, you can definitely land on the moon. So 10X whatever goals that you have. And that's just a really good book in general to read, just to like feel motivated. Like, I have the audiobook by Grant Cardone, and he reads it himself, and he ad-libs a lot, and he's very passionate when he speaks. And if you just listen to this when you're in your car, dude, you're gonna feel so fucking amped up after listening to him talk about 10Xing your goals and 10Xing everything that you do in your life to achieve whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. There's no better motivational book out there. So get the 10X rule by Grant Cardone. So the next book that I would recommend is another book that's really revolved around selling, which is called Pitch Anything. Now, here's the thing. I don't care who you are. I don't care what background you have. I don't care what your job is. You're always pitching ideas to people, whether you know it or not. Whether you're trying to go to one restaurant A, and your friends that you're going out to eat with want to go to restaurant B, you got to pitch the idea of restaurant A to the group, to your friends, if you want to go to restaurant A. So that's one example of how you're always pitching, you're always selling. Or another example, if you're selling a product, if you're a coach or a consultant of any kind, or if you sell any good or service, you have to pitch the idea to whoever's going to buy that. So that's the most obvious example of pitching an idea. But just in general, you're always pitching ideas to your friends, to your coworkers, to your girlfriend, to the girls that you're trying to pull back to your place from the bar. You always got to figure out how to effectively pitch anything. So The reason I like this book is because it's not like any other sales book you've ever read. Most sales books have the hard closer mentality. It's the same old concepts that have been in sales and motivational videos since the 80s with like Brian Tracy, Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins. They're all teaching the same hard closing bullshit. Not Tony Robbins more so, more like Tom Hopkins, people like that. But Oren Klaff in the book Pitch Anything really talks about frame-based pitching. And basically that means that you frame yourself in a high status way, as he likes to call that, and then you let them qualify themselves to you. So it's basically taking pickup 101, pickup theory 101 from like the pickup artist and applying that to selling. And that's obviously going to just seep into every area of your life and make you more charismatic of a speaker and of an influencer in general. And the fourth book that I want to recommend to you to become the most charismatic, confident, and courageous version of yourself is PsychoCybernetics. Now, charisma is something you are born with. Everybody is charismatic from the get-go. Think about it. Kids are the most charismatic fuckers out there. All right, I'll make a whole other videos on this, but think about it. Kids, they touch whatever they want. They talk to whoever they want. They think that they can do whatever they want, and if they're curious about something, they're going to go after it. They're going to touch it. They're going to put it in their mouths, all right? They're very curious, they're very charismatic, and they're uninhibited. But it's the social conditioning that kind of just changes them and forms their self-image into someone who's not very charismatic, into someone who isn't uninhibited, and in fact, you're completely inhibited. You think before you speak. You think that you shouldn't be doing these things. You think that you're not the type of person who can go out and talk to strangers. And that right there all feeds into your self-image. And that's why I like PsychoCybernetics so much by Dr. Maxwell Maltz, because he really just revolutionized this whole idea of the self-image and how you can choose whatever self that you want to portray to the world. You can choose what your self-image is. It's up to you. If you want to be happy, you can choose to be happy. If you want to be sad, you can choose to be sad. If you want to be the type of person who's good at math, then you can be that person, all right? But it all starts right here. How do you view yourself? And how do you think that your role fits into this world? And you can choose that. So I definitely recommend reading PsychoCybernetics. In fact, it was the first personal development book that I ever read, and it changed my life. And then the last book. Now, what kind of a charisma consultant would I be if I wasn't going to plug one of my own products at the end? And that is Magnetic Personality Formula. So, dude, if you've watched any of my videos and you've gotten value out of this, if you've watched or read any of my newsletters and you've gotten value out of that, if you've read my blog posts and you've gotten value out of those, then I highly recommend checking out the Magnetic Personality Formula, because that book right there is not only the first book that I ever wrote, but it's also a fucking brain dump of every way that I know how to make yourself the most magnetic version of yourself. It's my handbook on how to be charismatic. So definitely pick that one up if you want to be the most charismatic, confident, and courageous version of yourself. I mean, if that's not you, then I definitely don't recommend picking up that book, because I only want guys who are motivated to become the best at whatever they want to do in life to pick up that book. So if that's you, if you feel like you fit into that role, and if you roll with us on the Swagger Social Tribe, definitely pick up that book as well as the first 4 books, because they definitely played a big role in me writing that last book. And I will see you in the next video. Oh, and by the way, if you have any other book recommendations that you like, I'm always looking for more books to read, and I'll definitely give you my feedback if you recommend the book that I haven't yet read or even heard of, and I'll just let you know how it is. So comment below with a book that you like, one book that really changed your life, or a book that you even want to read that you've heard good things about, and we'll definitely see you in the next video, man. Peace.
Okay.